They aren't just building a city, they are building a world inside a box, not a metaphor. A box so big, it could rewrite what indoors even means. For 4,500 years, the pyramid stood as the ultimate human flex, stone, sweat, gravity, a monument that dared time to do its worst. But Saudi Arabia is now aiming for something different, not a shape that points at the sky, a shape that swallows it. In Riyadh, they're planning a perfect cube, 400 meters wide, 400 meters tall, 400 meters deep, a golden monolith called the Mukaab. And here's the part your brain fights at first. This isn't a building you live next to. It's a building you live inside. Because inside that cube is an entire district, a downtown, a new center of gravity for the city. It's the centerpiece of New Murabba, a planned mega-development meant to reshape Riyadh and push Saudi Arabia toward a post-oil future. And whether you think it's genius or madness, you can't look away. Now let's talk scale. Most megaprojects try to impress you with numbers, but the Mukaab doesn't feel like a number. It feels like a glitch in reality. One comparison keeps showing up because it breaks your sense of proportion. They say around 20 Empire State Buildings could fit inside its volume. 20, not beside it, inside it. That's not a tower. That's a container for towers. And at that scale, something weird happens. A space stops behaving like a room. You don't just air condition it. You manage it like an environment, like a controlled atmosphere. Because 400 meters per side means an interior volume so massive, it starts acting like its own system. Heat builds, air moves differently, crowds become weather, light becomes climate. So the Mukaab isn't just architecture, it's infrastructure for a new kind of indoor life. And that's where the real pitch starts. Because they aren't selling walls, they're selling a reality layer. Inside, the concept is built around a colossal central atrium, a giant internal void, surrounded by stacked neighborhoods, entertainment, retail, hospitality, and experiences. But the most sci-fi promise isn't the shopping. It's the illusion. The Mukaab has been marketed with immersive technology, huge-scale digital environments, projection systems, and experiences designed to make the inside feel like anywhere. Think Interstellar. Think Blade Runner. Not because it's dystopian, but because it's engineered to feel unreal. Picture this. You walk in, and the world changes around you. A sunrise over a futuristic skyline, then a desert sunset, then a storm rolling across neon streets, without a single drop of rain touching your skin. Because the sky above you isn't sky, it's a designed surface, a programmable atmosphere, and when reality becomes software, somebody controls the settings. That's the seduction. If you can simulate anywhere, why live anywhere else? If you can design the horizon, who owns the horizon? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. When a city becomes an interior, the boundary isn't just concrete, it's control. And that's exactly why the Mukaab has triggered global backlash. Some critics call it a dystopian cage, not because it's a cube, but because it's a container, a curated environment, a controlled place where the line between convenience and surveillance can get blurry fast. In a normal city, you can drift, you can disappear into streets, you can take side routes. But in a megastructure, movement becomes design. Design becomes policy, and policy becomes experience. Now add another layer of controversy, the shape. A cube in this region isn't just geometry, it's symbolism. Online, some Muslims criticize the project's resemblance to the Kaaba in Mecca, arguing that recreating a monumental cube form at this scale could be seen as provocative or inappropriate. Supporters push back hard, saying the design draws from regional Najdi architectural patterns and historic forms, geometry as heritage, not imitation. Same shape, two completely different meanings, and that debate isn't going away, because this is what megaprojects do. They don't just change skylines, they trigger arguments about identity, power, and the future. Now let's switch into build logic mode. Because the biggest misconception about the Mukaab is that people imagine a solid cube, a massive block of concrete, a mountain with windows. That would be engineering insanity. What's far more likely, and far more logical, is a megastructure shell, a perimeter system, a giant structural frame like an enormous box beam wrapping around an internal city. And that raises the question everyone asks. How do you support the weight of a 400-meter cube? You don't support a cube. You support loads. You design a load highway. The simplest way to think about it is this. In a traditional skyscraper, the force is MA,